This is Sheldon Ferris, Indigenous Rights Radio Coordinator for Cultural Survival. I'm from the Khoisan peoples of South Africa. It is day 4 at the United Nations Permanent Forum on Indigenous Issues. We are in the Indigenous Media Zone, and today I'm honored to have two gentlemen who showed up at the IMZ and really interested in what we're doing as cultural survival, but we were more interested in what they were doing at the IMZ. I've got Norris Branham, who's a filmmaker and historian, with me, and then I've got Kevin Inglesby, who's a PhD student at the University of Montana. Let's get introductions from both of you. Thank you so much for joining us today. Let's start with you, Kevin.
So just a general introduction?
Yeah.
Yes, so I am Kevin Inglesby. I am over at the University of Montana studying cultural anthropology with a subfocus of sociolinguistics and linguistics. I work with my advisor, who is Dr. Nealchet Grey-Morning, who is a linguist working in the fields of indigenous language revitalization, and he has coined a method of accelerated second language acquisition that I work with and talk about just the general communication around how to address these topics within academia, outside academia, and the political implications that found all of these processes. And that's pretty much what I'm working on so far.
Quinganau, Nindashinzi, Ila Takwa, Ninon Giai, Lenapeoking, Ok Shiekbi, Nawalotamin Wanduk, Takwa, Anishik, Kishelamokoing, Anishik. Greetings. My name is Norris War Turtle. I am an Afro-Indigenous member of the Sandhill Band of Lenape and Cherokee from New Jersey, New York, and Pennsylvania. And that was a traditional greeting in the Munsee language. And we're here to expound on what it is we would like to accomplish, creating our relationships with people from across the globe here at the UN. So.
It's good to meet you both. I'm so happy that we have youth visiting such very serious meetings, conferences, So it's really good to see that the youth are here. So let's talk about language revitalization. It's still the International Decade of Indigenous Languages. And in our conversation just off camera, um, both of you pointed to language revitalization as an area of interest. So the languages in your communities, Norris, is Unami and Mansi. Can we talk about the state of folks speaking the languages and writing the languages and how active it is with English being so dominant, Espanol being so dominant everywhere? Do you find that folks are actively engaged in learning, teaching, writing, reading these languages called Unami and Mansi?
I'm currently here in the state of New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania. There is been a serious revitalization of the languages in our Munsee communities, in the Ramapo communities. They have language classes. Many people can speak the language, not as fluent as they would like to, but we can greet each other, hold basic conversations, enough to facilitate continuing to, learn more from the language. But it's a heavy revitalization. We also, Princeton University has been holding a history and language symposium. I think it's about 3-4 years in now. We've attended multiple symposiums, and these are attended by Lenape from all communities, to Delaware and Oklahoma, Wisconsin, Canada, just all the different communities that are out there, the Delaware Nation, there's different communities of Delaware. The Canada Munsee, they have spent time, they have come down to New Jersey and shared a lot with the tribes in New Jersey in terms of the Munsee language, and that's the primary language spoken in New Jersey at this point. The Unami, that language is a part of the revitalization that's going on with Princeton and also Rutgers. So there's a lot going on in the state in terms of academically as well within the tribal communities.
So that's really good to hear. I'm excited to hear that. So besides the two of you, your peers, do you find that youth are doing much to actively be involved in the revitalization of languages? Maybe you, Kevin.
So, yes, I think there's a lot of pockets of younger individuals who are very vigilant towards, yeah, reclaiming languages and participating in processes to advance linguistic initiatives in a plethora of very creative ways. So, the method that I largely work with my advisor, it's pushed forward through a phonetic or just a sound-based system that it promotes naturalistic types of conversation, which draws a lot of people because grammar and the writing kind of shy people away sometimes from the linguistic revitalization stuff. But learning how to speak it from just the sound and being told is opening the doors for a lot more people who are younger to want to be engaged with these environments and creates creative and fun ways to do it, such as engaging with like pictures, having a room that is a serious topic, but being able to go through in a way that is upholding, cultural attributes and isn't just some really strict procedure of this is how you learn a language. It's a naturalistic type of thing where it comes through more of a conversational type of style. And that was the one thing that I've seen so far that draws a lot of younger people in, as well as the interface and integration with technologies and stuff. So we're also seeing the creation of apps, things like keyboards, and other algorithmic platforms that work with languages. And that is another big thing as well that, draws in the younger crowds because they can start to interface with things like the creation of stories and like Adobe storyboards and create their own characters to have language flow through as a learning tool and mechanism, which provides a good artistic outlet as well.
What got you interested in it? Was this what you study, right? Your PhD student in linguistics.
Political anthropology and linguistics.
Okay, so what got you started?
So, a large driving force of what got me started was actually from law and legal precedents around what can happen with language, or even in certain areas at certain times, who's allowed to speak languages in different areas. Because we've seen in Hawaii, for example, where people were being arrested for speaking their native languages. So, learning about the legal precedents behind policies and statutes that influence culture and political proceedings fascinated me when it comes to language. So, I started to ask the questions, well, and along with a lot of other people, how do we change that? How do we shift these types of legal precedents to facilitate open, dialogue around language, and also, reclaiming the robust cultural values that are, embodied in language. So seeing all of these things paired with, that side of political proceedings and actual cultural expression to truly express one's culture, language is a key facet for that. Not to say that you can't without the language, but it grasps a lot of what is embodied within a culture. So seeing all of these attributes really sparked my driving force, my impetus to want to be an ally to facilitate the reclamation and just revitalization of languages.
So how do we take it to the youth? And I want to hear about your filmmaking efforts. Does it have anything to do with language or taking culture to the youth? Because we need to. It's difficult to put things in books. It's hard to read because we are distracted. Everywhere you go, you see a billboard, or the radio is on, or the internet is right in front of you. Television is on 24/7. So we have all of these electronic devices that are very very distracting. Do we use technology to meet this need because it's a dire need? We've been colonized. English is here, it's not going anywhere. Espanol is here, it's not going anywhere. It's growing and growing and growing. So, what do we do in terms of media in general, film, radio, TV, to take our fight forward in terms of revitalization of languages and cultures, really, Norris?
I think that is very important. I believe in meeting the youth where they're at, right, and then bringing them up, raising them up, as opposed to coming in scolding and this and that. So what we do with our media and what we've strived to do over the years, I started a company called Turtle Gang Edutainment in 2008, and I chose the name to appeal to the youth, because they were being absorbed into a type of culture in the Americas that is very gang oriented. I wanted to appeal to that in a way where, in the sense of, I don't know if you're familiar with Our Gang, the Little Rascals, right? So these were a bunch of kids who were kind of left out, and they all came together. So I wanted to create something in that vein that was a platform for the youth, for people who are trying to find their way back to their true narrative. And so that's what my company was about, and I wanted to walk the line between the edginess of what the youth is appealing to the youth, as well as bringing cultural and historical aspects to the table. So what we do is we create short films, short narratives that give them a glimpse into historical things, but we give it to them in a setting that is digestible for them. So we utilize hip hop, we utilize short stories. We want to do some horror films, all these things that appeal to the general people, but then we want to give them some jewels within it. So we have a artist. His name is Medicine. He makes rap music, but what we do is we incorporate much of our language into our choruses, into things like that. So when the kids listen to the music, we can give them terms from the language, right, that they can easily pick up because it's embedded in the song. It's got a rhythm to it. So we do things like that. Like I said, we want to concentrate on meeting the kids where they're at. And sometimes it can get a little, because of where the kids are, but that's the goal we take. We want to be able to confront them with artwork, with art, things that are appealing to them, and slide the information, coded within the art. So that's our main objective, is to use the art to grab the kids.
I'm gonna let you think about how we're gonna close off the session. You need to give us some of those lyrics or something at the end. Okay, that will be really cool for us to hear. So let's bring it back to Kevin. So with technology comes new challenges, and some of these challenges include um, just exposing what is inherently ours. So we talk about apps, for instance, and teaching kids some of our languages that are dying out on an app. But once that is there, that information which belongs to us, which is our identity. I can go as far as saying language is identity, but now it's out there. It's in the ether, basically. So how do we protect our intellectual property once it's out there? Because it's something that's so, it's like our DNA, it's like our blood. Our language is us, and so it needs to be protected. It needs to remain ours as owners.
Thank you for that. So when you start to talk about the legal side and the paradigms that house personhood, time, and space, we want to talk about really injecting law into how we talk about, the creation of apps, the creation of keyboards, the creation of platforms that have digital aspects that involve any type of information. And when we get into the world of intellectual property, that is a way to safeguard these types of things, but inherently that calls for a certain way to approach it. So one large concept that I work with is a chronotope, which is personhood, time, and space. And when you intersect law within these constructs, you have a platform to create an informationally robust and culturally reflective pattern for an algorithm to function on, whether that's constructing an app or a keyboard or just a website. But all of that data, the property that is around these types of things, is held by the person who knows the legal status and standing to articulate to a company when they're trying to make a deal, or even with people who are going to be purchasing and using an app, or even for terms and conditions for a free type of app. So I think it's really important to safeguard how conversations around the entire topic flow and the forums that they're brought to, because people create things on their own. They create things on certain platforms like Google or Adobe, but who has one would have to look into who owns and retains the property rights to the things that are created. So one thing that is starting to come out now, and I'm sure people have been working for a while on it as well, are just decentralized platforms to create their own robust systems of safeguard and cultural safeguards. So the community is housing the data, and the community is working with things to be able to promote and push out to a larger public while not being exploited from that and while not losing any property rights to said thing, both socially but also legally as well. And that's why I bring in the idea of talking about it and making this more of a public conversation, to know that while an app that is free can be used by a lot of people, but a certain level of respect must be upheld when using it and when using and interfacing with certain databases. So the social side is just as important as the legal side to uphold these types of protections that can be instantiated in a certain legal precedent status.
It's wonderful. There's a lot to think about, and we're grateful that you are at the helm, PhD student, doing it really well, just representing the youth and taking care of what our ancestors has entrusted us with. Language. Language is everything. Okay, so I think that is where we leave it. Norris is going to leave us with a little something. Just
So you want me to play a little bit of it because it's not my song, but would you like to hear
no,
it?
just a few words, maybe.
A few of the words.
Just a few of the words.
So we have. So we just shot a movie called Mountain Lion, which takes place in the Lenape-Hoking territory, One of the songs which is featured in the film is a song called Shiekbi. Shiekbi is the name of the territory that would be New Jersey. So the I can't sing, but the lyrics are more like Shiekbi my home, Shiekbi the place where my ancestors roam, Shiekbi, Shiekbi. And it's just a way of introducing the actual indigenous name of New Jersey to our listeners. Easily digestible. So now, once this movie is out, the song is out, people are gonna know, oh, New Jersey is called Shiekbi. Just like we know Manhattan, we'll know Shiekbi. So that's just an example of some of the things we're trying to do with the music, with our films, and things of that nature.
Shake be my home, shake be my throne, shake be the place.
Come on, dude. Spill the beans, serve them up.
Sheldon Ferris, Indigenous Rights Radio producer for Cultural Survival. This is day 4 at the United Nations Permanent Forum on Indigenous Issues.